meeting order at 5, I have 5:22. That's my clock anyway.
2022.
Okay, first order of business and only order of business will be to deliberate, make a decision on the application for a kennel permit by Peter and Donald Russell, 20 Streeter Road, Hubbardston, Mass. Entertain a motion to approve or deny the application for the special permit on the kennel.
I'll make a motion to approve it with condition.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
with,
Motion is approved with conditions. Second order of business will be to I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to back up. First order of business should have been to consider the motion to waive the environmental community impact statement. So we can do that anyway. Is there a motion to, they have requested the environmental and community impact statement, which is Article 8, to be waived.
That's part of the special permit.
That's part of their application.
Aren't there two other pieces of the special permit?
Yes,
Okay. So we're
special
doing-
permit application, environmental community impact statement, site plan. They requested the waiver on the environmental and community impact statement.
Only.
Correct.
Okay, I make a motion that we waive the environmental impact statement.
second.
All in favor?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, everyone, yes?
Yeah.
Tom Robbins to approve, what is it, to approve,
Motion is
To waive.
waive the environmental and community impact statement. And now the motion has also been made to approve the special permit application for kennel at 20 Streeter Road with conditions. All in favor of that? Opposed?
We have to know what conditions there are.
No, now we're gonna set the conditions.
Okay.
We'll now set the conditions and vote on them. So, I'm gonna give you an idea, just because everybody hasn't done a kennel yet, what we've done in the past. And this is just for the purposes of illustration. Okay, we've given kennel permits out to people who have special conditions such as the following. That the permit is issued to the applicant and is not transferable. The waste shall be properly disposed of by the owner with sanitary conditions. Any modifications will require a new special permit application. We've capped the maximum of dogs allowed under the permit. And any application will have to have the building inspector inspect any kennel buildings that are going to be erected for this kennel. We've also allowed breeding. We have also not allowed breeding. We've also, well, that's about it. That's about the summation of all the different kennels that we've had. I don't see any others that we've ever put on. We've also implied, or actually stated, that all dogs needed to be spayed or neutered. One more, and that should cover just about everything we've done in the past, as I said, for illustration purposes. So, that's about it. If anybody has any special conditions, you can make a motion to apply it, we'll vote on the motion and go from there.
That list was just illustrative of typicals.
Typical.
I've got a few. The non-transferable one, I think, should be respected. I don't know what to do with the waste. I'd just like to open that up for discussion. They have quite a bit of property there. But on the other hand, it appears that they're on water, a pond. So I don't quite know what to do with the waste, but I'm just going to move on. If it requires modifications, they should come back in for the application process. The number of dogs, they said 5, so I'm just
That's what we should do.
repeating. And I looked back at the law, the dogs, it says that more than 4 dogs or 5 or more dogs. We say it in 2 places. We say it in the dog licenses page where it says more than 4 dogs, and we say it in the bylaw where it says 5 or more. So in any event, if they were to get rid of a dog, they wouldn't need to have such a permit, as they said when they came into us. But they're not getting rid of the dog, so they do need a permit.
That's right.
And I just say that because I think we all ought to know what the law says. They said they weren't going to do any boarding. This was a private kennel.
But couldn't we just do this as a non-commercial permit?
They said they weren't going to do any grooming. And if you express that as non-commercial, fine, but I don't know where breeding would fall. So I wrote down no boarding and no grooming as a separate thing. They also said they'd keep the dogs inside their fence. And I drove by the place, it has an elaborate fence and looks pretty official. They do their best to keep it in. They did say that, somebody can get out, but they're gonna do their best to keep it in. And I don't know how to deal with what I thought was the single most neighbor-type concern, and that was the early morning howling. I don't know how to deal with that. I don't think you can put, well, one way to deal with it might be hours of operation kind of thing, but I don't know how you do that. But if I had to listen to all the neighbors, what I thought was the single most significant concern was 5 o'clock in the morning howling occasionally. So that's my deal. 5 dogs, no boarding, no grooming, inside the fence, non-transferable.
I like to have non-commercial.
Well,
I would,
but how would that work with, because she says they would breed.
well, she was saying that that's not really commercial business, they're doing it more as a hobby. It's not like they're doing it to make money.
Yeah.
She's doing it to promote the breed. And,
And she said she lost money on this deal.
yeah, I know, but I think
But she is selling them. Wouldn't that make it commercial?
no, not if you're doing it for a hobby. If you're doing it as a hobby. If you have a farm and you just do it as a hobby farm,
Yeah.
that's not a commercial business, but if you're out doing farmers markets and you're going to different places and you're running it. I think a non-commercial is, we already have the no boarding, I agree with, and no grooming business. And then no non-commercial.
Oh, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, I just
Just-
didn't know how it would work with the breeding aspect and
Yeah.
selling the puppies.
All right. As far as the barking, I mean, if they have 4, they're gonna bark just as much as they're gonna have 5.
Well,
Could we have something like, if there's documented evidence of barking during quiet hours in the town, it comes back
when
for
required.
review?
Well, we do have powers of regulation. Unfortunately, we don't have powers of enforcement. So that kind of situation, if they're violating the barking or disturbing the noise or disturbing quiet enjoyment in the neighborhood, would be up to whomever is offended to call the dog officer and make that complaint. We can only tell them what we don't want them to do. If they do it, it's kind of a tough one that we can't say that, they should obey the law, but they should, obviously.
Yeah.
Maybe we should say excessive barking and let the dog officer make that determination what's excessive. I mean, excessive.
Anytime you put a statement that you can't measure, it becomes very variable and tough to make a determination. I honestly think that in the past, what we've done is try to regulate it under the conditions, because you're dealing with some obvious facts. Number 1, they're dogs. Number 2, they're gonna bark. And that's just the way it is. We live in the country. They're dogs. If you have 3 dogs that are big and very loud, they're gonna bark as much as 5 dogs that aren't big, and we have no control over that.
Even a little dog can make a lot of racket.
So
Joyce said there's 1,000 dogs in town.
1,000 dogs, huh?
Really, I was gonna ask, how many dogs are
I
on
asked
street
her
or
when I was
road?
getting my license, she said there's 1,000 dogs in town.
And so it's always been my opinion that, even though we've had situations in the past where there have been violations of these kennel permits, you pretty much have to trust the applicant. They're honorable people. Everyone that comes in here loves their dogs, they have nothing but wonderful things to say about them, and it's not our, I don't think it's our job to say, oh, no, you know, that particular breed I don't like, and therefore it's NG. So I go along with, you know, the reasonable types of conditions that you say to people, don't let your dog bark at midnight. A responsible person's not gonna let a dog bark at midnight. I mean, it happens, of course, but what are you gonna do?
Well, they
So-
said they brought him in around 9 and.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I think it's the
morning.
5 o'clock in the morning one. I've been thinking about it two ways. One is, I looked up how to train dogs against howling. And you actually can take steps. I don't know what they are. I didn't dig into it too deeply, but there are means by which people train dogs not to howl. I don't know if that applies to the so-called pack howl or what. But if you think about it, I think the issue is 5 a.m. I don't think it's howling. I think it's howling at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
If they could move that to 6 o'clock by just training their dog, I say just, I don't know how,
Yeah.
but by moving their dogs, timing, I don't think it's the dogs, I think it's the clock. Because think about daylight savings time. You know, they shift an hour then. If they could shift that hour to where they don't let them out until 6 o'clock, instead of letting them out at 5 o'clock,
yeah, but we
they
can't.
could,
Yeah, we
I'm
can't.
not trying to make it an enforcement. I'm trying to make it a suggestion that it might go a long way towards toning down the objection from the neighbors.
Yeah,
On
but
the other
if they
hand,
have to leave for work at 6 o'clock, then they have to let them.
well,
know.
they said their schedule, and I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
There was
we
some,
can't- We can't get into trying to dictate people's. work
well, I'm
schedules.
making a suggestion that if they move it from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, I could
I
probably.
mean, that was my most concerning aspect too, is they willingly, knowingly let the dogs out that early and knowing they were barking. And, you know, if you were one of those neighbors, I mean, we got those letters saying that a couple people work the overnight shift and they're trying to sleep. You know, I wouldn't find that right or fair.
A lot of towns have noise ordinances, and I looked them up, and they're almost all 7 to 11. You know, or I should say 11 to 7, quiet time, and 7 to 11. And I thought 7 was too hard to impose on these people.
This is a big dilemma, and here's the real catch-22 of it all. If their eldest dog dies, and now they have 4, they don't need to come in for a kennel license.
That's right.
We have nothing to say about it.
Right, that's why I said,
And I think that what we're dealing with is a situation where we can just do our best, and we'd like to say we can restrict it. But I think they heard that at the comments that were made at the hearing. And again, we go back to, you know, if they're gonna be honorable neighborhood people, they're gonna pay attention to their neighbors. And I think I'd leave it at that, I really would.
can we put a review date to give it to them for a year, just to review it in a year?
Aren't they every 2 years anyway?
I would say that that's not something I would want to do. I think a kennel permit is given out, and if there's enforcement and there are people who complain, then they can come in and complain about it, and then we can set up a review if we want. We can call for rescind it, modify it.
Do these have a sunset date on them, or they're good until?
They stay with the land, and you know, they're there.
There is no
Review.
renewal or, I thought there was on some of these other things we did.
Well, not in this.
All right.
I mean, I don't have any
All
regulations on it. We
And
never-
I think we should really address the noise, barking and the noise regulation that we're gonna be looking at.
All right.
We just,
And- I just wanted to say that I don't,
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
well, we were doing a noise regulation, we didn't have it ready for this town meeting, but we wanna do one for the future town meeting.
Turns out there is one under the general bylaws.
Oh, there is?
Yep. So there is something that they can go by.
Oh, okay.
And I noticed that in the review that they did. I didn't realize it, but apparently there is one. And honestly, I don't know the details of it. but-
Well, we can address it there, if it's of the problem, we can address it.
I also wanted to say that when we listened to these people come before us, they were very open and I thought very honest, and both on, you know, good points and bad points. They really laid out their situation very well. And I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anything that we're imposing as a condition that isn't something they told us.
Right.
So, you know, we're not trying to impose new and different regulations on it. We're reflecting what they told us, and I think it's a reasonable list.
I think we should put in there about waste, is that they should handle waste so it doesn't have a detrimental effect on the water quality.
Okay?
Is that vague? Not vague, but I mean, that's what we,
It puts an attention on it.
right. Waste should be handled as not to.
I think that sets us up for a problem, because I don't know how we would regulate that. I don't know how anybody would prove that the feces from an animal inside that 5 acres is, I mean, something could roam through there, it could be, it's surrounded by woodlands.
Beavers,
It's surrounded by fencing, the fencing is pretty.
No, I mean.
their dogs are, but the pond
Pond
is.
isn't, you know?
I know, but if there's a big polluted area right around the property line, it would be,
And who's gonna test
Who's gonna
it?
go out and measure it?
well, I mean, if someone's upset about it, they can. I mean,
How? Just think, how?
well, they test the water for,
But they can't test the water
Pretty
around that.
homogeneous water.
Yeah, it's
I
tough.
know, you're the one that brought up the waste, so.
Well, I didn't, I said
Yeah, but
I heard
that's
it-
the way
I
of
heard it in
doing
the
it, it's
list.
just saying it's not.
If they were on a small postage stamped lot, I'd say that's a concern to me, but 5 acres, that's a considerable amount of land.
So nothing on the waste.
he explained that to some extent, that what the food they fed and
Yeah, they have
the way
a
that.
natural organic food that doesn't create the same type of production other waste do. But anyways, all right, so we've got permits non-transferable. Any modifications have to come back to the board. Non-commercial operation, no grooming, no boarding. Dogs to remain inside the fence, and I'd qualify that with, unless they're outside under lead or control. In other words, you can walk them.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I agree with that.
Or the number of dogs.
And the number of dogs capped at,
Five.
anything else?
Regarding the building inspector, you said something about the building inspector looking at.
In the
building-
past, if they're going to build any outdoor kennels, we've had review by the building inspector. But
But they said there was an indoor situation, they had part of their building
That's right.
dedicated to the,
Do we want to put that as a condition, if the condition, the dogs will be housed inside the house?
you can if you want.
again, that's what they said.
I say, yeah.
The dogs be housed in the in-house, which just makes it easier to control barking too, if they're in the house all the time, they're not gonna almost,
Dogs to be housed inside home. that
yeah.
works. All right, anything else? All right, motion to accept the above, special conditions to be applied to this kennel permit at 20 Street Road.
Make such a motion?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Go for it.
TR.
Since our business is now concluded, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Well, have we granted them the permit?
Yeah, we voted that, the
Okay.
conditions, we voted on the conditions.
Do we have to sign anything?
Well, not yet, not till we write it up.
Motion.
We will, we'll write it up,
Okay.
have it ready for signature.
Okay.
Motion second, everyone approved.
All in favor of adjourning?
Adjourn?
Opposed? So